Well, historic news out of the United States this week, of course, with Donald Trump becoming the first president to be tried and convicted of criminal acts. Trump, of course, was found guilty by a New York jury of 34 felonies. He was charged with falsifying documents to cover up hush money paid to porn star Stormy Daniels after he did the horizontal foxtrot with her. But it wasn't long before he was addressing his loyal followers.
This is a scam. There's a rigged trial because the people of our country know it's a hoax. They know it's a hoax. They get it. You know, they're really smart, and it's really something. So we're going to be appealing this scam. Remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country.
Now, despite the felony convictions, Trump can still run for president and he can still win, but he may now run into visa issues if he were to visit Australia if he ends up being sentenced for more than a year behind bars.
Strong local angle.
So, look,
we have plenty of drones.
Well done.
Is it not bizarre? I mean, look, the whole thing is bizarre, right?
Yeah.
And I love using the pun that they were trumped up charges, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But you know, we find ourselves in a position now where we could end up with a president who is running the US from jail, and who then, when he gets out of jail, if he is still president at that point, Australia, or any other country for that matter, could legitimately refuse his entry on the basis that he was a criminal. If they really wanted to be, you know, a prick about it, they could.
Tell me now why America isn't the greatest country on earth. It is just fantastic. and this whole thing, I think someone wrote on Twitter, and then a porn star, you know, won the presidency. The end. And this is the greatest sequel. It's like a bunch of Hollywood blockbusters. They're sitting around after the red wave that was the trickle and Trump's kind of lacklustre speech at Mar-a-Lago that rambled on and didn't seem to have any point to it. And you can almost imagine the writers' room go, God, how do we get this, you know, how do we turn this around? How do we get, you know, put a bit of pizzazz in this, put a bit of lead in the pencil? And then the Democrats, who, I don't know if there's a collective noun for monstrously stupid people, but it probably is a Democrat. These guys, they're like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is going out with a whimper, he's on the mat, he's got nothing to fight for except his claims that the 2020 result was rigged. And suddenly they make a martyr of him. So suddenly, after the feds refused to prosecute him on this, and this is not a prosecution for him paying the hush money to Stormy Daniels, which I have no doubt whatsoever he did.
No
doubt whatsoever. I'd be disappointed if he didn't.
But it's legal. That's legal. Bill Clinton paid Paula Jones.
That's right. But the point is that the previous New York DA wouldn't touch it. The feds wouldn't touch it. And then this guy comes along and decides he's going to do it.
Well, he was elected under that.
That's right. Campaigns on the basis he's going to do it to make it a campaign donation. So he's trying to say that this hush money was actually an undeclared donation from Trump to his own campaign. Now, that alone should tell you how ridiculously torturous this charge is. And again, people will think, yeah, the guy banged a porn star, the guy then paid money to cover it up. But I do not like the criminal justice system being used to settle political scores and try to knock political opponents out of the race. And that is why you have seen, I think, a record number in donations in the 24 hours afterwards.
Yeah, by the people, mind you, that they said were crazy and violent, which they haven't rioted. They haven't done anything except raise funds.
That's right. And people are now, Democrat voters are now saying, well, you know what, this is wrong. And I reckon there'll be a huge FU vote for Donald Trump. And from all the polls I've seen, if anything, they have gone up, and they've only gone up and up since he's been facing these charges. And the Democrat, they're like lemmings off a cliff. It's like they can put Trump in a jail cell, even though that's unlikely, but it's possible to go to jail. That wouldn't hurt him at all, because the Democrats are just so determined to shove a grenade up their own backside and then pull the pin. He doesn't have to do anything.
But the local angle is a non-existent angle. This business of he might not get a visa to come to Australia, this has got so far to travel before we're even close to that. Now listen.
You've got to go to the local angle.
Listen, Joe. What you can hear is the sound of appeal court judges laughing up their capacious sleeves because they know what's going to happen the minute it hits the appeals court. I'm sorry, this was stupid. It's reversed.
Of course
there is no guilty verdict. No. So it's not going to get through an appeal court. This is far from over. No. This is going to die. This was so set up. What Alvin Bragg did, and Joe was right about this, he took bookkeeping misdemeanour charges and pretended they were felonies by pretending it affected the outcome of an election. Well, everyone knows that. No appeal court judge is going to say, oh, yes, they're not going to.
Well, misdemeanors have statute of limitations. I know this even in Australian law as a police officer. There were certain things that I couldn't trial if they weren't, an indictable offence, so to speak. If it was a summary offence, which is like the American misdemeanour, you've got statute of limitations. So that had been reached already.
That's right.
And so they had to make it a felony. And the way that they did that was they tapped on and they had to say that the misdemeanour was committed at the time of another offence. So 2 crimes were committed at the same time. And in this particular case, they didn't even name what that alleged offence was that he committed at the same time to make the misdemeanour a felony to then get rid of the statute of limitations. It is. I actually don't think Hollywood could script something this good.
They'd say, this is unbelievable. This is absolutely ridiculous. As if that would ever happen. Robert De Niro losing his mind.
Have you seen? No, hang on. Have you seen the new movie where it's like the 2 states go against each other in America, and it's like this civil war, and it's like California and Texas joined together? That's terrible writing. That will never happen. But it's almost like that. It's that much of a joke. And if we get through this, Kel, and it does come to Australia, and then we'd say, sorry, you can't come into our country, President of the United States, because you're a criminal, we would be even more of a laughing stock than we already are.